You're very clear about this. It's time to leave your job. But how do you make sure you're doing it the right way? How do you make sure you're not just jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire? How do you make sure that you're not breaking too many things or yourself on the way out? The secret is being and thinking in a way that best sets you up for your next. And in this episode, I'm going to show you how. Hey, Creating Maven. I'm Joy Spencer, your Reframe specialist, with one important message. Your real work, it's not your job or your career. Your real work is what you create. And what you create is what sets you apart and makes you incomparable. It's your legacy. I'm here to show you a whole new way of working so you can create with your gifts, make a unique contribution, and finally get paid to be yourself. This is Reframe to Create. How'd it go? In episode 46, 3 Signs It's Time to Leave Your Job, I left you with an assignment to take a magnifying glass to your current job environment so you can know if your when to leave has arrived. So how'd it go? Did one of the 3 signs show up? Because it only takes one to make where you are the wrong environment for Creating Maven. Did you score a 6 or higher to the question of being in an environment where your gifts are 1, neglected, 2, misused, or 3, treated with outright hostility? If you haven't listened to episode 46, this is a good time to pause and go back to listen before continuing on. But if you did, let's get on to the next step, which is now that you know it's your time to leave, let's first get you in the right frame of mind before you make your next move. Remember, this is not about finding your dream job. The dream job is dead, and we went over why in episode 1. The goal is not to find this non-existent dream job. The goal is to help you always exercise the most powerful tool you have to help you get paid to be you. Creating. This is about mindset. Because as I said in episode 31, you can only go as far as who you are. And we all know the saying, wherever you go, there you are. This means we can't escape ourselves. You can't escape you. You can be your greatest enemy or be your greatest asset in the next phase of your journey. I want to make sure you're prepared to be your best asset. In order to be this, you first have to believe that you can have a different and healthy job experience. This can be tough if right now you're sitting in the middle of what you think is a neglectful, abusive, or even hostile space. It can be really tough. Or even if it's not that bad and things are just, regular schmegular, ho-hum, drum, yum, it can be hard to believe that things can be better. It can feel naive or even dangerous to hope for something different. But I assure you it can. A Robert Anthony quote that I love says, "You can have anything you want if you're willing to give up the belief that you can't have it." It may be hard for you to see this moment as an opportunity, but I assure you it is. And you're going to take full advantage of the great opportunity that this is. Unlike times before when you just rushed out of one thing into another because you were desperate, this time you're going to do the important reframing of your mindset before you move so that you can better prepare the way. That mindset is critical to everything is evidenced in literally every single sports movie that you have ever watched, whether it was Remember the Titans, The Mighty Ducks, The Cutting Edge, Bad News Bears, The Blind Side, Rocky, Cool Runnings, A League of Their Own, or whatever you remember, from your film Rolodex. There's always a moment when after the practices have all taken place and the players are at their physical and game best, and after the coach feels that they've taken the team as far as they can go on the technicalities of winning, they have to come face to face with the only thing that's getting in their way, their mindset. And it's usually after a pivotal moment or speech that the athletes make the much needed mindset shift and go on to win big. And that's what these reframes are going to do for you. The thing you need before you go out there on the field or court to make your next big win is these next 4 things. 1, be and stay creating centered. Your work is not your job or your career. Your work is what you create. This is what you're looking to do wherever you go next, wherever your next job is. And I don't want you to forget this. You cannot forget this. Whatever it is, wherever it is, you are going to be there to create. This is not about finding a place to be productive, knock out tasks, fulfill job descriptions, and climb ladders. You are not there for that. This is what it means to be a creating maven. You're always asking, what will I create? And in this case, you're going to ask, what will I create next? And your mindset about your next job needs to be about what you want to create next and the right position to have, and that will be in partnership with that vision. 2, be mission-minded. In episode 32, Why You Should Work Your Way Out of Your Job, we learned from Samuel Sarafel that with any job, we should begin with the end in mind. From day one, you should go in there with the mind that you are going to work your way out of the job. This is because you're thinking about your mission. You're thinking about the contribution you want to make. You're thinking about the problem you want to solve and why. Being mission-minded, instead of just thinking about a job, will help you filter and sort through the types of organizations and spaces you even look at, long before you even get to applying. You're also not out here just trying to find somewhere to park yourself indefinitely. You're not going in with the mindset of, hey, I'm looking for where I can get comfortable and put my feet up in the hammock in a shade. Your job is not the sum totality of your work, but it's just a part of the journey as you fulfill your mission. It's not a final destination. So this means that right from the beginning, you want to start playing around with timelines in your mind. Might your mission take 1 year, 3 years, or 5 to complete? Ask yourself, how long might it take to create this thing and therefore accomplish my mission? This is the mindset of someone who is purposeful and looking to have an impact and then move on rather than take up space indefinitely. 3, be feelings focused. In episode 34, Feeling Your Way to Your Next Job with Sawita Kamara, I unpacked the idea of covert versus overt goals. It's the concept from coaching, which is that when people set goals like wanting to get a certain job or lose a certain amount of weight, those are their overt goals, which means those are their obvious and visible goals. But those aren't ultimately their real goals. Their real goals are covert and invisible. The real goal is how they believe they will feel once they have achieved that goal. Maybe it's feeling powerful, significant, loved, or any host of feelings. This is why people, including you, often get disappointed when they achieve their goals. Think about it. How many times have you set out for a particular goal, achieved it, and then immediately felt that letdown? It's because you weren't aware and necessarily tapped into what your covert goals are. When people don't know what their covert goals are, they often end up picking the wrong goals or not noticing when they're off track. But you're not going to get suckered. You're going to prepare yourself for your next move by knowing ahead of time the answer to the question, how do I want to feel? Part of why you know it's time to leave where you are right now is because of how it's making you feel. And you don't want to forget just how important this awareness is as you think about where you want to be and how you want to feel wherever you go next. And 4, be environment aware. Remember, it was your attention to your environment, specifically how your job environment was treating your gifts, that brought us to this point in the first place. So you want to keep up that level of awareness as well. Don't get seduced by job descriptions or titles. Environment is everything. It's the soil that will either support or choke out the life of your gifts. So this means you have to know very keenly the type of environment you need to thrive. So think about what things are not working in the space that you're in. What are the cultural attitudes you need? What are the resources that you need? What are your non-negotiables for thriving? This needs to be top of mind more than the job or the title itself, because a great job title can quickly turn to dust and ashes because of a toxic environment. Getting your next gig may not be an overnight thing, or who knows, it may. Either way, it'll end up being the same old unless you show up differently, which can only happen if you're showing up with a different mindset that comes from adopting these 4 reframes. It can only happen if you are creating centered, mission-minded, feelings-focused, and environment-aware. This is the right way to leave your job. Now that you know the mindset you need before you jump ship, you're ready for the practical tips I've got for you coming up in episode 48. Until then, let it sink in by asking yourself these questions. To stay creating centered, ask, what do I want to create next? To stay mission-minded, ask, what problem do I want to solve with what I create next? To stay feelings-focused, ask, how do I want to feel? And finally, to stay environment-aware, ask, what do I need in order to show up and create at my best? You're probably not the only person you know who's in the same spot and ready to make some moves. Show them that you care by sharing this episode and invite them to listen to 46 first and then follow Reframe to Create on their favorite podcast app so they know when episode 48 is available. See you soon, Creating Maven. Until then, remember to ask yourself the 4 questions that will get you in the right mindset to leave your job. I'll see you in episode 48.